Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fan fiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to follow us wherever you listen so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. If you love what we do and want an easy way to show your support, please consider leaving us a positive that's all the stars rating on your favorite listening platform. It helps SPN and fanfic lovers find us and share in the fun. I'm Sandra.
I'm Dreamer.
I'm Kasey, and the presence of Dreamer in your episode can only, well, it can mean one of many things, but in this particular case can mean only one thing. It is another fact versus fiction, guys. It's been a minute since we did the last one. These are getting harder to research. But nonetheless, your faithful agents of kink and chaos and filth and depravity have combined their powers and made a document of education for you. And on one of the very rare occasions, it's an excellent document. And as Dreamer so lovingly christened her moments ago, Sandra is our pillow princess this week because Sandra has not read the document. Like, out of choice. But this so very rarely happens that I feel the need to, note it, because usually it's me that turns up. So,
to call her out is what you felt the need to do.
I did feel the need to do that. In a true role reversal of your weekly hosts, I have read the document this week and Sandra has not. And the only reason I've read it is because I helped make it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done. I would have turned up. But fact versus fiction. What are we facting and fictioning this week, Dreamer?
We are facting and fictioning penetrative sex and orgasms. Which I was going to say we all love, but maybe we don't all love. But we are going to be factored on the subject regardless.
Yes. So we're calling this one Fact versus Fiction General Realism, Penetrative Sex and Orgasms. We had a whole list of shit about general realism that we were going to do. And when we got into it, we were like, oh, no, this is too big. No.
This will take us 3 days.
Yeah, we will be recording forever. You will need to send out for emergency supplies if you try and listen in one go. So, as you know, Fact versus Fiction dispels some of the more common myths and incorrect fan fiction tropes. So before we get into it, we've got a couple of disclaimers. Disclaimer the first, we are not sex experts, including Sandra. Sorry, Sandra. Maybe she is, but she hasn't told me. I don't know. No. Sorry, Sandra.
maybe between the last Fact versus Fiction episode and this episode, one of us got the qualifications.
Maybe we passed the exam. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Okay, but here's the thing. I'm reading this disclaimer and I didn't pass the exam. So We're not sex experts. All right. This episode is for entertainment, fictional writing purposes only. It is not intended to replace real, actual medical advice. If you have concerns about your intimate health or any other type of health, actually, contact a professional doctor. It's not us, fam. Don't DM us. We don't know the answers. Contact a professional.
Exactly. And we do have a second disclaimer. Disclaimer 2, Electric Boogaloo. And before I actually give you the disclaimer, I would like to congratulate myself and Kasey on the successful merging of our brains, because I wrote that joke with Kasey's side of the brain, clearly. That is a line straight out of Kasey's brain. And
I do that.
It just came out of my fingers without my consent, basically. But yes, the second disclaimer is that we are aware of the exception to the rule. And so to avoid any, to put it kindly, well, actuallys, like say, well, actually, I can have I can have 10 squirting orgasms in under 5 minutes. Or, well, actually, I slept with a guy yesterday who had a dick so big that he punctured my lung and I was fine. We're just putting this disclaimer here to say that we realize we will be making a lot of sweeping generalizations. That's the point of general realism. But, we're basing this discussion and all of these, facts and statistics and all of this stuff on averages. We're using studies and anecdotes and things like that on averages and norms and medians, whatever normal is for, I suppose, the premise that science was looking for. But we understand there are outliers and exceptions, and there are Sam Winchester dicks in the world. Maybe that was who punctured your lung. And we know that Dean Winchester... We know that Dean Winchester could eat pussy for 3 days straight without taking a breath. We understand, okay? But for the purposes of this episode, yes, we will be making generalizations, and we're happy for you if you survive the puncturing and can orgasm
pussy
like that,
eating.
quite frankly. Yeah. I mean,
it'd be funnier than me in my own document.
just live your best life, mate.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
How dare you be funnier than me? I insist you stop that immediately. I am the funny one.
It's why we're friends. Come on. We've both got to pull our weight in this relationship.
That's very true. That's very true. Well, you know what? My third disclaimer is just going to just bomb now on the back of that. You don't go after the funniest person in the room. Yeah. But disclaimer the disclaimering, which I don't think I put that in there. I think Dreamer put it in there.
That was the me version of that joke, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But a note about sex and gender. Sex and gender exist on spectrums. We will try our best to use AMAB or AFAB where appropriate, but we might slip up. Any use of man or woman is not intended to discriminate or offend anybody. We are also only human peoples. See, that wasn't funny. It wasn't meant to be funny,
Well,
but it feels even less funny on the back of yours.
Not everything has to be funny.
No, it's a good point, because that's true, and it's a serious thing. Because I know that some of the studies we're quoting in this episode do use man, woman, that sort of thing. And just for anyone who's not aware of the shorthand there, that's AMAB and AFAB. That's assigned male at birth and assigned female at birth. We're all used to using those acronyms, but there may be those out there who
Yeah.
I want to say as well, I discovered the last time that me and Dreamer came together on an FEF, it was kind of just mostly our knowledge that we pulled. And this time we had to actually do research. And I have found out some shit, right? Sandra loves a table and a farm, right? Sandra's love for tables and farms does not come anywhere fucking close to Dreamer's love of citations. Good Christ. Y'all are so lucky.
About to be called out.
This document does not come with a freaking, what the hell do you call it? A bibliography? Fucking index? I don't know what the fuck you call it. That little bit at the end of a study where all the little numbers go, and it goes, fucking, you write something and then you put a little one at the end of it, and then if you click on that one, it takes you to the end of the document, and it goes, the medical journal, blah, 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 blah. And it cites the source of where you got that information.
Well, good.
Y'all are lucky. Fucking so many. Don't good me. Do you know how many articles about dicks I've had to look up? My poor browser history is crying.
Yes, but the point is that I'm sure we're going to share this document too in the description, so that people,
we are,
if they want to,
we cited every gosh damn
look in more detail, they'll have the ability to do that on their own. So I think that's great to give people more avenues for information.
The only reason that I bring this up is that now I'm feeling weirdly insecure, because there's nothing in this podcast that I love as much as these two love citing their sources and tables and forms. So I just feel a little bit insecure about that now, because I'm questioning my place in this car, frankly.
Well, I think we should just get into the, because you're
we pause
the
recording. We need to
professor.
come up with something for Kasey.
Editing S is freaking ham-fisting a pencil, just writing down the timestamp. Take that shit out. All right.
Okay.
Without further ado.
All right.
Without further ado, I will find a podcast based hyperfixation to keep up with these gals. I will. But without further ado, the first in the general realism lessons, penetrative sex length. How long is it supposed to last? How long does it last?
Well,
Can Dean Winchester truly fuck you?
You forgot an important
straight.
word in that.
What did I forget a word?
I forgot session, because I feel like that's important, because you say
penetrative sex length. No, that's later down. That's later down. Penetrative sex session length.
There we go.
Length is later down. That's further down in the document.
Let's
want me
not
to do that
assume
again?
euphemisms here.
Yeah. Do you want me to do that again?
No, I just think it was cute, because
sure?
I'm like, wait, I think we're talking about two different things now. You forgot a word.
Wait, no, you fucked up. Come back. You ruined it.
No, it's good. It's good.
Alrighty. Penetrative sex session length, i.e., how long is the sex meant to last between the insertion of the penis and the end of the sex session, which usually comes with male ejaculation.
Are you?
Well, this is this is an interesting question. That's usually how one would define the length of a sex session, no?
Yeah, no, I'm just sorry. I'm just laughing at the way you said.
Well, if you're
It's like
talking
you were
about penetrative, then yes. Yeah, the penetrative part is absolutely like whenever the item goes into the area and then is officially done and out of the area, whether or not there's even, ejaculation or whatever. I mean, that's just, the penetrative sex part, I would think. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think the parameters here are
Ejaculation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Yes,
from
we are
penetration to ejaculation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Insertion to ejaculation. Can you tell that it's been a minute since we recorded one of these?
Sorry.
No, it's me. It's me as well. All right. Moving on. The average therapists. So we're quoting this from a study. Don't worry, we've sourced it. Don't even fucking worry about it, lads. It's sourced. Fully sourced. Right. So the average therapist, which is 50 full members of the Society for Sex Therapy and Research. I want a job there. Fucking research orgasms all day. Fuck yeah.
You probably don't, though. Imagine all the weird shit you'd hear.
Hi, have you met me? Hi.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that's a good point.
I'd be all about that life. I'd be jumping in for the weirdest, nichest research. Fuck
Give me all your worst weirdos.
Yeah, give me all them freaks. I want to get involved in this shit. You can stay up there with your heterosexual, normal penetrative sex. Give me the weird shit. Anyway, so the average therapist, which is the members of the Society for Sex Therapy and Research, their responses define the ranges of intercourse activity as adequate from 3 to 7 minutes, and that's from penetration to ejaculation. That's how we're choosing to define this. Desirable from 7 to 13 minutes. Too short from 1 to 2 minutes, and too long from 10 to 30 minutes. And I will put myself all the way out there that 30 minutes is too long, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's too long. I birthed the whole fucking child
30 minutes.
in 30 minutes, all right? That's too long. Get out. Frankly, that's out. I want to say the labour lasted a little bit longer than that, but the actual pushing of the child out did not. So,
yeah,
if your dick takes that long to achieve orgasm,
I feel
that's
like they
a you
may
problem.
be on slightly different levels of things that interact with those parts.
Oh,
But,
maybe. Still,
I mean, that's
30
fair
minutes,
enough. If
too
it's been
long.
30 minutes,
Get out.
Get out.
Yeah. That's my hard line on this. If it's been 30 minutes, that's too long. Get out. Yeah, same vibe as well. If it's been 30 minutes and you're birthing a child, get out. Just fucking, we're done with that now. Yes. So that is...
So the desirable amount of time for penetrative sex is 7 to 13 minutes, according to this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sandra, you got any thoughts on that? You want to weigh in?
What as to what so what I would think, what I like the intercourse activity. I'm more about the stuff that happens around it. So to me, yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily be like, I think a 10 to 30 minute session is, I think it's just too long. It's too long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, even, and again, I know you're going to get into this in terms of fiction, like ideally in my brain, sure. In real life, no. That's a lot of stuff happening. Yeah. So the penetrative sex session length part, I would think doesn't have to be even adequate. Like to me, adequate or desirable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it depends. It depends on what's happening.
Exactly. Like if you were breaking it up, like not going from 0 to ejaculation, then like if there was penetration and then a break and something else and then penetration, like that could last, maybe the penetration like itself could last 30 minutes, but that would sort of be maybe an edging thing, I guess.
It depends on what's going on. It depends on whether or not is it hard and fast? Is it like a steamy situation?
Yeah.
Are you really just taking time and really connecting with your partner? Like all of these different factors, I think would depend on what the session length would be. Like, so yeah, but I think the actual like part of that penetrative area to me does not have to be exceptionally.
I mean, I'd be perfectly happy with 3 to 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
if there was decent stuff beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, depending on the mood, like 7 minutes, 5 minutes of just penetration, like that's a quickie, right?
Yeah, whatever you got
So it
time
depends.
for some people, like, hey, this is all we got. Let's, and again, there's a lot of things that have
It's how
to
long
get
Paw
you there.
Patrol is going to distract the kids.
Yeah.
We've got a full episode's length. Right. Go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Episodes of Paw Patrol are about 10 minutes long, but
yeah. Or say how long it would take Dean to viably go and get some beer from the shop, or what do you call it, from the liquor store? I don't know, the bottle-o in Australia, so whatever you guys want to call
from
it.
the offie in the UK. From the bottle-o or
So
the
it's
offie.
whatever your heart desires, and really, it's whatever
all very
works
subjective.
for you as a couple.
Yeah.
Or a triple, or whatever configuration is happening in your real life or in your story.
Whatever works for your consenting adults, however long, it's very subjective.
And I think the too short one too, kind of like, I think that's maybe like disappointment, like maybe like if and I think it depends on, again, the partner and what the person's expecting, but like the too short aspect of it, like, like.
It depends how well they've seen to you beforehand.
That's right.
That's
if
what
they've
I mean.
seen to you and you're just like gently melted into the bed, you fucking have at it, babe. You do whatever you want. Yeah, get your rocks off. Like I'm done. But you do whatever you want to do.
But I think that depends too, like you said, like on how much is being reciprocated. So definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the results show that the average sex therapist believes the intercourse of 3 to 13 minutes is normal and not, how are we pronouncing this? Prima
facie?
Worthy of clinical concern. And we looked that up, and that just means like on the face of it. So like, I don't know why they didn't just say that. Possibly because it's a medical journal. I don't know. But yeah.
And we're writing for Supernatural, so it's Latin. Yay!
Yay!
It all ties in.
It's so good. It's so good. So that's kind of the general, if you wanted to go with the average, write your scene of in to finish, about 10 minutes. Probably be all right. And I mean, the Winchesters fuck like stallions. So if you're one of those people that thinks 30 minutes is the right amount of time, you go for that. It's entirely up to you. It's fiction. But we're just trying to ground it in reality a little bit. Now, the next part of this is just studies that I think I'm going to have to open because I don't know what they are.
I think they were just sort of...
Do they just go along with
sources?
Yeah. Oh, they're just
sources for our... Yeah.
Okay. So, yes, I've cited to fuck. You're going to have the best time. You're going to have like 18 tabs open. It's going to be fucking great. A thing to consider, though, if you are writing, and I mean, it's fiction, it's fantasy, so you don't have to consider this, but a thing to consider is, of course, premature ejaculation, which the science will tell you that there's not a lot of studies into it, but there fucking is. They study the shit out of it because it revolves around a penis, and we must know. These are some of the more common reasons that it might take an AMAB person longer to jizz, which is what I wrote in the document, and I'm sticking to it. Consumption of alcohol. I'm sticking to it with all of the jizz. Consumption of alcohol, whiskey dick. If you haven't experienced whiskey dick, consider yourself fucking lucky. And by experience, I mean you haven't had it happen to you, or you haven't had it happen to a partner that you're sleeping with, because it's really fucking frustrating because it goes way past too long. You're well past 30 minutes. You're looking at your watch going, I got places to be tomorrow. Can you fucking wrap it up, fam? And they're just hammering away because they can't come. Right?
Yeah.
Ask me about a holiday I took when I was 17.
I thought whiskey dick was where you just couldn't really get it up or like get it fully hard.
Yeah, but you can still go. That's the point. There is some hardness there. It's just you just don't get all the way. And you don't get all the way, and then you can't get to the end either. And then you end up on a beach in Cyprus in view of everybody naked in the early hours of the morning. It's not fun for anybody. I do not recommend it. So if you wanted to be realistic, whiskey dick, we think this might be something Dean has to deal with. Sandra has just provided us a super, super helpful fic reference to that by Little Green Plastic Soldier called About Last Night.
I'll put it in.
There you go.
If you've got like lists of some stuff, I'll put it in, because that was a great one.
Nice.
That talks about that. Yeah.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
Mm-hmm.
This was something I learned during the course of this. Apparently, just depression in of itself can make you not able to come. I didn't fucking know that. I had heard, like everybody had heard, about the antidepressants, but not that I've never heard of anybody not being able to come because they're sad. Haha, that's a joke. I don't actually think depression is just, I'm a bit sad.
No, but yeah.
That's AMAB and AFAB people.
Mm-hmm.
Although this is under the AMAB section, that's,
Yes.
for both.
That could be something that Sam has. Very sad for Sam.
Yes, this was just me jokingly assigning roles to this little list we've got. So don't take it too seriously.
Hours. Lol. Medication, of course. Antidepressants, absolutely famous. You won't want to kill yourself anymore, but by Christ, you will not come. And then you get to choose between being suicidal or satisfied.
And I assigned that role to me.
Poor Dreamer. Everybody feels sorry for Dreamer. That's very sad. That's very sad. I'm going to sit over here quite smug that my personal antidepressants don't cause that problem. They cause other sexual problems, but not that one.
Don't feel too bad to me. It's not a total nothing. So,
well, there
TMI,
we go.
but
there we go. Editing S is once again ham-fisting a pencil and scrolling down things. Stop talking about your personal orgasms.
No,
I
figured most of this stuff is okay to put it in there. You guys are going to be listening to it later.
I swear Kasey's more like conscious of it than Sandra is.
Yeah, I am. Listen, since I found out that she secretly takes out all my threats of violence, I've become paranoid.
Well, that's not a secret. I told you about that. I said, no. I said, we have to stop saying we're going to pan actual people in the face.
Yeah, no, but I didn't. You'd taken them out of episodes before you said that to me. You were like, I've been taking these out for a while now. Please stop saying it. Anyway. Medication. Antidepressants is, of course, the most famous one, but there are a plethora of medications out there that can affect your sex life in various different ways.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And also aging. Oh, doesn't it suck to get old? We're not 18 anymore. We can't do it like we used to do. But that affects everybody. Everybody is getting older. And if you're not, call my husband. He wants to achieve immortality. I don't. Call him, not me. Anyway.
His number will be in the doc. No, it won't.
You can contact my husband through me. Email idling in the Impala. So that kind of wraps up, pun fully intended, penetrative sex session length. So hopefully that was kind of helpful when you're plotting out your sex sessions and thinking, how the fuck am I going to fill 2 hours of time? Oh, I know, I'll make them fuck. Maybe you could decrease your time a little bit. Don't talk to me about making people fuck for time limits. I'm still sensitive about it.
What a clever reference to your recently released fic, Temet. Wait, how do you pronounce it?
No, say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that, which was done for the Sam Winchester's Jared Padalecki Big Bang and can be found on AO3 under your username. Sam is my safe word with underscores between all of the words.
That is, in fact, where you
thumbs up.
Hashtag excellent marketing.
It's an excellent fic.
It is. It is excellent.
Just saying.
It is excellent. Alrighty, moving on. I guess Sandra's clicking through the document like, come on, people, keep it moving. Right. So this is what we included. We included this next section in here, and then we left it to last to research because it seemed like the hardest. And then when we came to research it, we were like, we literally can't do this. So. Assign female at birth climaxes. How often and how easily? The short answer, how long is a piece of string? Make it up. The points don't matter. How long is a piece of string? If you're writing a female character and you want her to be able to orgasm just by eye fucking, you write that shit because she might be able to. Science doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of study done on this subject compared to its AMAB counterpart is fucking paltry. It's disgusting, frankly. Disgusting. So, short answer for that, fucking make it up. Doesn't matter. Use your own experience, use a friend's experience, ask Paul Tumblr, ask a porn star. It really doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, I mean, it does matter. Of course it matters, but if you're looking to base it on science, the studies we found, there were like maybe a couple of big studies that were done on like a couple thousand people. It's just the numbers simply aren't there for rigorous peer-reviewed studies and clinical research. There's a lot of it is self-reporting, which, I mean, a subject like this, but unfortunately, in a subject particularly about AFAB people and their health and biology, and particularly about orgasms, including them, it's not exactly what science and medicine is prioritizing, shall we say.
It's not important. Yeah.
No.
It's very important. That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, yes. We're shining a light on the vulva and
I hate that word.
the vagina.
Stop that!
I remembered that word the other
Yeah.
day. The vagina.
Stop that right.
I will not.
Now.
I refuse. Oh, Casey's getting close to the mic. You know, they're serious.
Get in. Yes. I'm trying to avoid yelling into the mic.
Right.
Fucking stop that. Vagina. Fucking package it. That's not a word. Anyway, we do have some stats and figures and shit like that for you, because what we could find is we couldn't find any sort of sources on how often and how easily it happens, but we could find sources on how many people have problems with it.
Well, no, I reordered this part of the doc. I wanted to start with some factors that can affect AFAB people's ability to orgasm before we actually get into the stats, because it's pretty relevant.
There's numbers in there. That's what I was going for. There was numbers in there.
Yeah, there are numbers. Yeah, but I chucked this one to the start of this section just to get us in the mood.
Ooh,
so go ahead, Case.
Someone get me a fan. Good lord. Obviously, there are a lot of factors that affect AFAB people's ability to orgasm. So again, this is from a study. It's cited. Don't worry about it.
Yes, this is from a specific study. So the numbers in this quote that Casey's going to give you, the percentages are of the numbers of the people who were studied. So keep that in mind. It's not the world population or anything.
Yeah, it's not everybody. Just the people in this study. So orgasmic difficulties, OD, in women occur with relative frequency. An estimated 20 to 40% of people in the study, not everybody, report difficulty reaching orgasm depending on various parameters, including the specific problem, inability versus difficulty, age, hormonal status, health, sexual experience, adequate stimulation, specific activity, partnered or not, and the nature of the relationship, e.g. hookup versus ongoing relationship. It's a fucking...
Yes.
It's witchcraft is what it is.
Pick a reason out of a hat. There's so much. Yeah, there's so much that goes into it.
All those articles that are like how to make your girl come. They just wrote witchcraft. Make a sacrifice to the moon goddess.
Yeah.
Don't know. But we do have a little bit of data just from it varies from study to study, because obviously it's self-reported for the most part. So, but in terms of time, some of the figures that we've got, and again, these are sourced, don't worry about it. During masturbation, orgasm can take between 6 to 13 minutes. During partnered sex, orgasm can take 16 to 20 minutes, but 20 plus minutes is not unusual in AFAB people with sexual difficulties. During partnered sex, the average time is 14 minutes. This study specifically, which me and Dreamer thought was very, very funny, focused only at... No, this is a different study. There was one study that focused only on heterosexual persons in monogamous relationships with no physical disabilities or mental disabilities. Just fucking nothing wrong with them. Just absolutely nothing wrong with them. Because that seems like an unbiased selection of people, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's basically the control group with no...
Yeah. I don't want to use the word normal, because that's a misnomer, but I feel like that's what the science went, just grab some normal women and just see what they do. Yeah. So the average time, 14 minutes for assigned female people in heterosexual monogamous relationships with a selection of physical disabilities all sexual dysfunctions and all psychiatric illnesses excluded. So these people had to be like completely middle of the road, no issues in any capability. And then they went, how long does it take you to come? And these bitches were like, 15 minutes. I'm sorry, bitches affectionately. Yeah, all right. That doesn't seem reflective of the wider female populace.
So, but this is saying, though, that they could have a selection of physical disabilities, right? And there could be sexual dysfunctions. And it says, and all psychiatric illnesses excluded, right?
So they excluded... No, it's with a selection of physical disabilities, all sexual dysfunctions, and all psychiatric illnesses. So maybe they could have some physical disabilities, but they couldn't have any sexual dysfunction, and they couldn't have any mental illness.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. The way I'm reading it, it sounds like there could be like all of those other things, but no psychiatric illnesses excluded. The way it's reading to me. So okay.
But yeah, that is so maybe just some physical disabilities. I don't necessarily know if the study.
The comorbidities such as diabetes, hypertension, asthma, malignancy, psychiatric disordered, or patients on drugs for psychiatric endocrine disorders, they were all excluded.
This study also pointed out that penovaginal, which is a disgusting fucking word, even if you pronounce it incorrectly, penovaginal, that's even worse, frankly. Dicks in places was insufficient to reach orgasm in the majority. Someone gather all of the menfolk in the world, all of them, put them all in where are we going to put them? Where are we going to put them?
On an island. I don't know. What are we doing with them first?
Educating them. Put them all in one place. Right now, every country, gather your menfolk and put them in the biggest space that you have and put a big screen there.
Simulcast.
We'll just do a Zoom.
We'll just do a Zoom with all of the menfolk in the world, right? And just be like, dudes, your dick is not magic. She doesn't need it to come. Get her there first,
well,
please.
The next point, I actually added the next point because I wrote down that, again, studies being what they are, the numbers are hard to pin down, but anywhere from 70 to 90% of AFAB people are unable to achieve orgasm from penetration alone, which, this may have to do with the distance between the urinary opening, not the vaginal opening, the urinary opening and the clitoris, which is actually determined during fetal development. So what I take from that is to do with friction.
The positioning
near the vagina when
right?
When the penis is penetrating and the friction on it. And that sort of thing.
I totally believe that.
It makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
And I think I read something that the people more likely to achieve orgasm during penetration alone was when they were on top. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about that position, the vulva is more fully pressed against like the pelvic area of the male.
The friction-y thing.
Yeah, and like rubbing and grinding and bumping. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
But 70 to 90%. Okay. Do you hear that? That's 10 to 30% of AFAB people are the only ones who can have an orgasm from penetration alone. So 3 cheers for you guys. Mm-hmm. Like, I love that for you. Mm-hmm. But remember, there is an entire world of fun to be had that doesn't require a dick in a hole. Mm-hmm. And that hurts me because I do love a dick in a hole.
You like dicks and stuff.
Yeah, and Kasey does too. So
we do enjoy dicks.
I knew I would be hurting them to write that as well.
Yeah.
But it's the truth, and we're trying to be realistic here.
And I think as well, if you're writing something with a female or an AFAB person in it, whether that's an OC or a reader insert, I think that's a little bit different. Like me and Dreamer primarily write slash, which is very, very different in terms of how you're writing your sexual encounters. If you're playing with, female characters, do other stuff. The dick doesn't need to be in there. Like, it's great, it's fun when it's there, but it's not the star of the show, friends. It's not the star of the show.
Look, even male. Sorry, Dane. Kasey and I are very penetration focused. Like we are self-aware. like the high brain is self-aware. But
We
even
know our
even male
limitations, they don't
like
scare us.
there's plenty that can be done outside of dick in hole. I mean, I guess if depends on whether you consider dick in mouth to be dick in hole.
No.
But even then, you know, there's other stuff. Like just something to consider.
That'll do it. So just have fun, guys. But seriously, countries, gather all of your menfolk, put them in the place that's going to hold them all, and we'll just have a quick chat and just be like, lads, you're like, I'm not saying you're surplus to requirements, but your dick is like, that's not important to any of this. That's not important. Studies also seem to show that AFAB peeps orgasm faster during masturbation than with a partner. Quoting from the study, furthermore, orgasmic response during partnered sex may not reflect general orgasmic capacity, even. General orgasmic capacity. I've said orgasm too many times. It's not even a word in my brain anymore. During masturbation, with reports indicating that orgasmic problems tend to diminish during masturbation in women. Men make it harder to orgasm, down with the patriarchy. I didn't write that line. Do you remember that line? So, is anybody here surprised that women get off easier by themselves?
No.
No.
No. Absolutely not.
No.
So, one of the best ways to bring this into your fic is to have your female character, be she an OC or a reader insert, tell the boys how they like it. That's fun, right? I mean, sex, God, Dean Winchester is always fun to write. But if you are going for just a smidgen of realism, having your Winchester of choice ask your female character how she enjoys it and learning and educating, very sexy. Hashtag very sexy.
To give Dean a little bit of props, because I think this is a thing too. I think when people write him, I know how I write him, is that he likes to learn. He's got a lot, he's gotten a lot of experience over the years. And I think I think in one aspect of his life, he's intuitive and communicative, and he is trying to learn what partner for the night, for the week, for the month, what they are into, regardless of who that partner is. And I think that with that, he's definitely someone that if you'd want to have somebody want to take the time to learn what you like, that's the kind of partner that I believe we that love and adore writing him make him in our minds based off of what we've seen of him as a character. You know, like there's this playfulness, there's this willingness, there's this, it's not just me, I'm here to do this for you also. Like it's a give and take thing that I think he's all about that. And almost like, let's see how fast I can do it. let's see how long we can go, like that kind of a thing. Like I feel like it's a part of the discussion with a character like that, you know. So that's my take on him. As like, I don't think he's necessarily a sex god, but I have written like in my notes, like, let's pretend in this particular situation Dean does not know everything there is to know about sex, that there's a partner that's going to teach him something that he doesn't know, because I feel like that's where he would probably definitely he would pass the sex exam.
He would, yes. Yeah. He would. And since there's been a fair amount of discussion about Dean's sex god status, Sam Winchester fucks like a champion.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
He doesn't crow about it.
That.
Fucks like a champion. Sam Winchester loves research. He loves law. He's got that shit down to a goddamn science.
Yeah, I think he would use the science to his advantage, like kind of a situation.
He would, yes.
Where I think Dean is more like gets hands-on. Sam's got like, Sam reads about it and then puts it into action.
Sam's got like a basic plan in his head of like, he's got a basic step-by-step guide in his head of like the best ways to get a woman there. And he's open. He's open to, that's actually so fucking accurate to Jared and Jensen's process. When Jared's like, I read it and 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 I know it and I solidify it in my brain and then I feel comfortable improvising. Whereas Jensen was like, I read it once and that's it. That's very
he stores that shit away. Yeah, after he's done it. Yeah.
You know, it's funny the way you guys are describing them, Sam and Dean. That's like exactly how you would describe their hunting methods as well. Like Dean needs the basic information and then he will go out and learn in the field and figure it out when he's out there. And Sam will get all the information he needs and then go out there and do what he believes to be right.
Yeah.
And get the results. And yeah, no, that's funny. They're sex hunters.
They approach sex the same way they approach murder.
Well, saving lives, shall we say?
It's still murder an animal or a monster.
And I think the one thing that I've heard people talk about when it comes to Sam and Dean is that they are like the hunting aspect of it, yes, but like nothing's done without like communication. And I think like in some way or another. So whether it's like discussing beforehand, like maybe Sam and partner are like talking about like, you know, well, this is like the role playing stuff I'm interested in doing, or how do you like to do this? Like, is this okay? Like if we ever gotten the chance to do something like this, I'm thinking about, you know, Kasey's need, you know, fic, where like there's an understanding ahead of time. There's probably been discussion at some point, or there's just this inherent, like through as they've had their relationship, they know when and how things are going to go. But there had to have been a discussion at some point with Sam. Mm-hmm. I don't know if necessarily there's discussion with Dean, but it's like in the moment discussion is what I'm thinking of more with him. Like you're saying, like he's very reactive.
Dean's very,
like
he's reactive and he's open and he's ready to change course as suits the situation.
Yeah. There's so many good fics like that.
On site sort of thing.
Like I'm just thinking of MJ's the kind of girl you like, where there's like the one that they're the Sam's partner, and then they bring Dean in, and how the very like the differences in just that scene play over is very, very much like I think there's something about people that write about these two characters that hones in on certain aspects of them. And I constantly come back to that with Dean. And I know Kasey, like, you know, you've mentioned it, like, you know, just Sam fucks like a stallion, like that kind of a thing. Like I think there's just there's something that has to be inherently true about these fictional characters that makes people come to this, I think, overall agreement most of the time. Again, majority of the time about them. So
can I just say though, I do love a fic that takes the idea that Dean in particular, sorry Kasey, is like kind of hopeless in bed and like needs guidance. Like, I mean, obviously being a Wincesty, that's my focus, but I love but I have read Het as well, that like with Rita, and Dean goes to do his thing and like, or he's upfront about it, or but you know, that's not really that's not so much Dean's style. But like, and so he needs to be guided through it. And I do love that sort of thing. That makes me laugh.
Because I also think that with sorry, and then I'll get off the topic of Dean. I can't.
Oh no,
can't help it. But like I think that those like earlier, like when you're trying to get him out of that sort of like that macho machismo thing, like maybe when he was younger, like a younger Dean is like, I'm thinking of like earlier, like this is how it's expected to be done, to have somebody sort of like take that and be like, it's really not doing it for me. And then him being receptive to it, I think is important. Like him, like being like knocked down a couple pegs, like, oh no, this is not the way it should be. So that's why I think like the experience, like he would be open to learning for just the fact that it's fun, you know?
You see in his sex scenes through the show that he's not a domineering partner. And that just screams of being open to guidance to me, like taking instruction and that sort of service top. I think Kasey and I have discussed that before. He just gives real service top vibes.
Huge.
Which is I love that,
which I really like.
Huge fan.
Huge fan of that. Huge fan. Okay, I'm done fanning over Dean Winchester's sexual prowess.
Well, that covers the AFAB climax section.
There we go. See, I'm all good. I can just sit back and relax now. So
yep. Sandra can live her best pillow princess life.
Yay!
Good.
Alrighty. So moving on, and this was actually point provided by Crowley's mistress in our Discord server, who we're actually speaking to later on today. Exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's great. Good timing.
And they provided or posed a question about prostate stimulation. Harder isn't always better. Hashtag not all prostate owners have sensitive prostates. We added the hashtag. But
Yeah,
added the hashtag.
it was funnier with the original joke, but like,
yeah,
you know,
the original joke was not all men, but in an effort to be inclusive, not all prostate owners. So we there is only one source here, because again, this is fucking how long's a piece of string, you know? It's very, very subjective. It's very, very anatomy focused. It's very much based on the person itself. But we are specifically talking about internal prostate stimulation here, not so much external, because obviously it's a little bit different. But like, first of all, just as a general kind of point, not all AMAB peeps enjoy prostate stimulation or have sensitive prostates at all. Always get your partner's consent before trying anything, and be prepared to stop immediately, even if they're like, yeah, let's try it. And then they're like, oh, fuck no. Consent is sexy, you know? But some people aren't into it, and that's totally fine. But if they are, and you are going to try this, and we've covered some of this stuff before, be gentle, first and foremost. Okay, so my AFAB peeps in the audience and in the car here with me today. Have you ever been with a dude that starts slapping your clit like he's seen it in porn, and you're like, the fuck are you doing, fam? That. Don't be the dude that slaps pussy. Like, unless your partner's into that, you know, we're not kink shaming here, but gentle hands. Gentle hands. Don't finger anybody like you're trying to start a fucking lawnmower. Okay? Oh. Gentle hands.
Yes.
Also, I really hate that fucking move. I don't know why porn normalized that. Fucking stop it. Stop that. I hate seeing it. I hate guys talking about doing it. I won't finish that thought. I don't like it. Stop slapping people. But unless they ask you to, stop it.
I thought you were talking about the lawnmower thing. I had a guy do that to me once.
No, I don't like that either. But that slapping motion that's really prevalent in het porn, and I'm like, the fuck are you doing, guys? Like,
but I was going to say, he did it once. No, he didn't do it again. I tell you what.
Fucking he didn't. You ever had an angry woman leap off the pillows at you? You learned some shit.
Yeah, he only had one hand after that. No, yeah, kidding.
Like teeth. You just damn it.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, all that to say, don't finger people like you're trying to start a lawnmower. Just like anybody, don't let anywhere you might put your fingers in a person. Gentle hands, please, gently. And if you're gonna be playing around in an assigned male at birth person's rear end, gentle fingers, please.
Until you have permission to be more than gentle.
Yes. Just start off softly. It's a very subjective thing, so best guidance, just start off softly. General hygiene tips as well. Wash your hands. Well, wash your hands before you put them anywhere, really. But wash your hands. Wear gloves if that makes you or your partner more comfortable. There is zero shame in that. Just wrap your cock, wrap your hands, like whatever makes you guys more comfortable. Trim or file your nails. Cut your fucking nails, people, and then file them. Don't be coming at me with jagged fucking pointy nails.
That's not an if it makes you or your partner comfortable. That's regardless. That's you do that or you don't fucking touch anyone's butt.
Yes. Or anywhere else, frankly.
Anywhere else.
That's just like a general, like, you know, like you in theory, I know some people are gross, right? But in theory, you wouldn't ask someone to suck an unwashed dick. Fucking don't put your unfiled hands anywhere. So, yeah, that. Lots of lube. I've said it before. I will keep saying it. It's come up in so many fact versus fictions. However much lube you think you need, more lube. You cannot go wrong with too much lube. I mean, you can, but it's
appropriate lube.
Appropriate lube.
Peeps.
Yes.
If you're using latex gloves, don't use an oil-based lube.
If you're using silicone toys, don't use silicone lube. Be careful. We have a handy-dandy chart in another document.
And an entire FBF episode, in fact. Go and check out, what's it called again?
Be liberal with your lube.
That's right.
That's
excellent episode. I wasn't in that one, but it's still good.
No, you weren't. But it is still passable despite the absence of our favourite agent of filth and depravity.
That's right.
Just a couple of kind of like, maybe you know this, maybe you don't, kind of things. The receiving partner, if you are doing any kind of prostate stimulation or prostate play even, they might feel like they have to pee or they're going to pee. This is normal. Like the prostate kind of, like, it's all like weird at the base of the dick, and like the bladder's there and the urethra, and it's like it's all a mishmash of stuff there.
It's like with AFAB people, it's all in a very condensed area.
Yeah.
So it's all going to sort of push and shift against each other.
Yeah. But that is quite a commonly reported sensation. They probably won't actually pee, but it is a weird sensation to adjust to. Having the receiving partner pee beforehand at least relieves the risk of actually having an accident. But towels on hand during sexy time is never a bad idea. Anyway, just keep a towel, just have a sex towel or whatever, because sometimes accidents happen, y'all. It's a messy area. Sex is messy. That's part of what makes it fun. Towels.
Yeah.
But since no one in the car today on this podcast actually owns a prostate, Kasey remains very sad about this. We have provided you with a handy dandy link with some excellent advice, like fucking gold star advice on like how to get into that kind of stuff, positions, best practices, like
that's a super article. It's like
toys
very
and things
thorough.
like that you might want to use, all that kind of shit. So in lack of real men to help you with this, because I don't know about your husband, Sandra, but my husband would not assist me in this. I didn't even ask him because I knew he would just be like, nope. So handy dandy links in there. Okay, now this is whatever it was. Yes, no, this is the bit when Dreamer was going, why isn't there any more studies on this? And I was like, you go report and get fucking studied on this then.
I remember.
Penis size / vaginal depth, aka your fanny is a musical instrument. In the UK, fanny means vagina, not ass, as it does in America. Because I wrote that and then I was like, Sandra's going to be really confused.
No, because fanny pack is a whole
joke
big thing that I know is very funny to the
joke
to the Brits.
kind of works at like if it's a butt and a musical instrument.
Well, yeah, it is.
Get
that
it?
wasn't. Yeah, I do get it. That is not
just not the same joke, I guess.
No, yeah, it wasn't. That wasn't the joke I was making, but it does work as well.
Yeah.
So again, we are back in the realm of stats and studies and things. So the average vaginal depth is 2 to 4 inches long. So that's like from entrance to cervix, the insertable bit. I'm doing hand motions, like anyone can see me. It's horrific.
Cervical opening, that is. Yeah.
What else? What other part of the cervix is there? It's all an opening.
Well,
babe.
the other side of the cervix.
It's like a donut.
How long is the cervix?
Depends.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
Remember how we disclaimed at the start that we're not sexperts?
Okay.
I'm not a
As someone who has birthed 2 children, I'm more familiar with my cervix than I want to be. All right. When we talk about vaginal depth, we're talking about the the external opening to the side of the cervix in the vagina, not the side in your uterus. That's what we're talking about here. The bit that you can actually put stuff in. How deep is that? 2 to 4 inches long when unaroused, 4 to 8 inches when aroused. Don't worry, there's a link. We saw star facts. However, as with anything else body related, there is a enormously wide range of normal lengths, and it changes like pregnancy changes it. Even if your baby comes out the sunroof, just the act of being pregnant can change the length and the shape and everything. Of course, childbirth, delivering a baby out the door, as it were, changes it. Age changes it. Yay, we're all getting older. We love it so much. Amazing. Your pelvic floor strength changes it. Do your Kegels. I know I'm an absolute horror. I don't do mine, and as such, I don't go on trampolines anymore. I know my limitations. They don't scare me. Who's got time for it though? Like, who's got time to remember to do that shit? No.
Totally.
But like, if you are the kind of person that does Kegels, and like, fucking fair play to you, your pelvic thought is strong, motherfucker, that also can change the internal workings of you. It is worth noting as well, though, that while the cervix is a biological barrier, like you physically, like a penis cannot go any past the cervix, that is not how it's designed to work. The uterus exists within the abdominal cavity, and as such, there is a little bit of give and movement up into the abdominal cavity. You can like achieve a little bit more depth in that manner, but not everyone enjoys having the cervical opening banged like a drum, however. But where my size kings and queens are, some people fucking do.
Whoop, whoop.
Some people do. So there is, you know.
Sorry, I was cheering like on behalf of the size queens and kings, not like
not outing yourself. Yeah.
I mean, a little bit, but also on behalf of.
I guess it's kind of the equivalent of you know that rumor that goes around like teen boys that if you shaved on there you get an extra inch. That's kind of like the equivalent of that. Like you can just get a little bit of extra depth if you rearrange organs in there.
Yeah,
a little bit. But yes, so that covers.
So that's something that's like different for every person with a vagina or with you know a cervix and a uterus. That's some people, they don't really feel it. Some people it's pleasurable to have the cervix like
knocked
battered,
on a
shall we
bit.
say? Yeah, knocked around a bit.
Some people fucking hate
some
it.
people, for some people it is pure pain to have any kind of contact with. So that's I mean, for some realism, change it up in your fix. You know, it's something that is going to be different for everyone.
I
always check with your partner. Check with yourself. Like find out what's good for you.
Yeah.
So that you should can tell others.
Yes.
You
should know
anyone
yourself.
You come across, but
don't tell people on the street. If someone's in your bed and you're gonna get down and dirty, tell them. But you know, you should always know yourself the best. Actually, from a fic perspective though, I write fantasy, like pure fantasy. It's all perfect. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever has to deal with mess or clean up. Like nobody ever has like UTI or is just bloated. I don't write that. But I do actually really enjoy reading fics where something goes a little bit wrong and like they have to like kind of stop and readdress the situation. I always think that's a really lovely way to show like connection and emotion and things like that. So if you did want to write where, you know, your character is fucking a particularly well-endowed Winchester, I'll let you choose who it is, Sam. And maybe somebody gets bumped or bashed and your female character is like, oh, fuck, no, God, don't do that. That could be quite nice.
And there are positions that make it less likely to experience that collision of body parts. So...
Yes. Okay. Next point. Vaginal tightness is it's patriarchal BS. It's fucking nonsense, right? Absolute. I will put my professional reputation on the line. It is bullshit. All right. The vagina, like your vagina, AFAB listeners, but any vagina really, they can shrink, quote unquote, to hold a tampon. Like it doesn't fall out. You know, like it stays where you put it. Okay. So it can be small enough to hold that, and it expands to birth a fucking child, right? A whole ass child, all right? So if a guy says that you're not tight enough, he's full of bullshit. Tell him to get a bigger dick, okay? It's nonsense. And this is where the your fanny is a musical instrument thing comes in, because it's like, this was the most disgusting thing that I'd ever read. But go with me, guys, specifically Sam.
Okay.
Oh, so Lord, what are we in for?
So the inside of your intestines, go with me, people. The inside of your intestines, it has like folds that kind of like ripple and move to move things along your intestines. It's a very similar kind of thing on the inside of the vagina walls. It's folds, okay? It expands, people. It gets bigger or smaller, as you know, like there's a neutral state, but it expands. That's the whole thing. There is no such thing as a vagina that is not tight enough. Tell your guy to get a bigger dick is bullshit, all right? Also, if you do happen to have a man in your life that's fucking harping on about loose pussies, like, first of all, bin him off. Like, just, you don't need that energy in your life. But you could maybe mention to him in the binning off procedure that sexual arousal causes the walls of the vagina to swell, making it feel tighter, making it be tighter. So just tell him to do better in bed and then tell him to go away.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not like, I don't think anyone that listens to us writes those kind of like patriarchal ick fics. Maybe you do. I'm sorry. But it's nonsense. It's absolute bullshit. It's, small dick people who are fragile.
Yeah, maybe before the reader or the other character hooks up with Sam or Dean. So it's like, oh, finally, someone who's not a massive fucking wanker.
Yeah.
Or Demon Dean. I mean, he can be a
Demon Dean.
big ol'
Yeah,
ass.
true.
So.
Yeah. I think there's also kind of scope there
Soulless
as well.
Sam, get Soulless Sam in there. There's opportunities to have.
There are opportunities to make the guys bastards. There are.
That's right.
But I think there's also, if you were to be writing a fic where you had a female character that had a child, because that kind of bullshit seems to become pretty prevalent after that, like it doesn't shrink. Like you don't just walk around with it like
oh my God.
the width of a baby for the rest of your fucking life. Good Christ, you'd never get anything done. You could maybe that would what could be something to address. Maybe you have your female character feeling a little bit insecure, and you can have a Winchester be a white knight fighting against the patriarchy and telling them, baby, that's bullshit.
That's so sweet. Now I want to read that.
I think too about like the vaginal tightness, because I could say from experience with me, I have and I know there's a term for this because I've looked into this and I've realized, that I'm not the only person that has this issue, where you can be too tight and that causes a lot of discomfort for you for anything that's inserted. So there is that involves communication with your partner to be like, look, this probably isn't going to be a thing that like just you can magically take care of overnight for me. Like this is an ongoing thing that like, if you're willing to work on it with me, like there's stuff that I can do, to make it easier going forward, but it's like a building up to situation. So that's like a real like work in progress thing to have happen with a partner to make that more pleasurable, because if you don't work the muscle, if you don't do the things you're supposed to do, it's a constant, we're back to square one again, and this is an issue. And that I think can change the, how you have encounters with your partner, and changes it just across the board. So I've actually been, the more we've been talking about this, it's been in the back of my mind when I'm talking about realism, is to kind of like put that into a fic at some point where, Dean's magic dick doesn't take care of everything. It's actually an ongoing thing he has to deal with.
I would read that, yeah.
So
the term I think is vaginismus. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but
yeah. And I've looked into it. There's like I've bought things that are supposed to help with it, but if you don't do it regularly, as in real life,
dilators and stuff,
it doesn't. You're back at square one kind of a situation, and that could be, that's why I think a lot of people like, oh, baby, you're so tight. It's like, but sometimes it's not a good thing for the person.
The receiving person is not having the same amount of fun as you.
Ow.
Yeah.
No.
It's actually that brings up a really good point. So, as you said, this is general realism. So we have, primarily focused on heterosexual sex here, but it's worth noting as well for my trans women folks. It's the same kind of deal. You have to maintain the depth that you have been given post-surgery. And what you don't maintain, you will lose. It will come back together. So, just
it's a real life, people. Like, if you don't got time to, you got to really commit. And if you don't, here we go.
if you don't commit, then there will be repercussions too. But actual vaginal tightness, that is not patriarchal bullshit. That can be a legitimate medical issue. But vaginal looseness is bullshit. That's nonsense. Anybody in your life that starts talking about that, educate them, then show them the fucking door. You don't need that in your life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly. Or, to be honest, they should fucking know this anyway, so just show them the door if you can be bothered educating them first.
Yeah, you don't owe a bigger anything. You can just tell them to fuck off, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
think it's one of those things where, you know, it's the way it's being approached, right? Like if the dude's being a dick, literally, then they need to just go. Like, yeah, like that's the kind of thing. But if it
depends on how much energy you want to spend on them, how much you've spent on them already, and
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Moving on to the bit you've all been waiting for: dick sizes. Right. we put a fair bit of work into this. Lol. Dick length, right? So that's how much room you have to insert stuff. Now, what is the average size of the stuff that one might be inserting? Well, we don't fucking know, is the answer to that.
Yeah, the thing about this section is that we weren't going to use
I think this is when you got the most frustrated.
We weren't going to use sources that were studies where the statistics were self-reported, because I mean, and this is where the patriarchy fucks men too, right? The studies that we looked at, one of the particular studies that we looked at said that men believe that the average penis length is over 6 inches. Like it's like, I think maybe it was like 6 point something inches. And it's just so frustrating to me because, I mean, that's not the answer. We'll give you the statistics, obviously, but it's men perpetuating these myths against other men. And so they just give themselves like these impossible standards to compete against as well. And don't get me wrong, like time and the permutation of this disinformation and misinformation into society, women absolutely pick it up, and, you know, shitty people run with it, and it becomes part of the zeitgeist, and we, you know, people joke about it and all of that sort of thing. But it just becomes like men thinking that that big dicks are standard, and like all of their porn is with big dicks, and you know, they belittle other men, like implying that they're not men if they've got small dicks. It's like, you're making this harder for yourselves. Why are you doing this? Literally the majority of you have like smaller dicks
average sized penises.
Yeah, and average is not a dirty word. It literally means most of you, most of us.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so frustrating to me. And it just makes me sad because toxic masculinity hurts men as much as it hurts.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if as much, I don't know. That just, it hurts men too.
Toxic masculinity hurts everybody. There is no one who benefits from toxic masculinity.
The patriarchy hurts everyone. It's just ridiculous. Sorry, small rant. But yeah, okay. So we weren't going to use self-reported studies. We really wanted things that were done by clinicians in clinical settings.
The problem with that is
controls and that sort of thing.
The problem with that is as well, there can also be reporter bias.
Yes, there was a small bias. Yeah.
Yes. So it turns out it's actually quite difficult to get an average on dick size. But we did our best. We did our best.
We did get some good numbers, I think.
The trend seems to be approximately 5 inches when erect is the average. We didn't find anything to state that ethnicity plays a factor in that. I will say we didn't specifically look for that. So if you wanted to go and do your own research on that, I know we've all heard the stereotypes and the stories about people from certain countries and, you know, different ethnicities and stuff like that, but we didn't find anything to back that up in any way. So,
and to be fair, a lot of these studies, they're very sort of Western focused anyway. Yes. A lot of the research is done in, I don't know what you'd call it. Western doesn't seem like the right word, but yeah, United States, European countries. Yeah. So it's hard to say if there's not a bias towards that anyway. Yeah.
This is a very difficult thing to get objective data on because it's a very sensitive topic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
And the same's
interestingly,
obviously
though,
true with all of the other studies we've cited with AFAB women and anything else we've done on AFAB people and AMAB people. It's all of those biases. You've just got to sort of assume that they're there, and we just can't really account for them.
Yeah. So, you can source the science and you can quote the science, but it is always worth bearing in mind that there is always going to be an inherent bias in these studies. And until the robots start doing them, that will always be the case. Don't let the robots do that. No, they're supposed to do the laundry. Interestingly enough, though, something that we did find, scientists have found no correlation between penis size and height, penis size and BMI, or penis size and shoe size. Apparently, we all knew that the shoe size one was BS, but apparently height and BMI
or hand size,
anything like that. The data is anecdotal at best.
Yes.
So yeah.
But as long as we all know that Sam Winchester and Jared Padalecki are large and they have large penises to go with them, then it's fine.
Yes. So we've got
That's all that matters.
A little bit of stats here from D, who did actually go and source these. So a 3.6-inch penis is in the
other way.
No, a 6.3-inch penis. Other way. Click that. Let's do that one again. Good
No,
Christ.
It's fine. Just keep going. It's fine.
All right. A 6.3-inch penis, not the other way around. That would be absurd. A 6.3-inch penis is in the 95th percentile. So that's 5 in every 100 men would have a penis that large. 7 inches would be the 98th percentile, which is 2 in 100. And that sounds like 98th percentile sounds really drastic. But like 2 in 100, that's a fair amount of dicks when you like consider like your city size or whatever.
Considering the billions of men in the world.
Yeah.
Or AMAB people in the world, like that's
penis owners in the world.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of dicks. And that's a whole lot of 2 in 100s.
That's it. 2 in 100.
The odds are okay, people.
Conversely, going the other way, a 3.94-inch would be the 5th percentile, which is also 5 in 100. And D wrote this in as, if Sam or Dean / Jared and Jensen hit that percentile, still would. It's not the size of the vessel, it's the motion in the ocean, people. We already talked about how stuff in holes is not the be-all and end-all of good sex.
And I know Sandra's with me.
Yeah.
Still would.
No, I am. Still would.
Yeah,
Still
still fucking would, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Still would.
I like the implication there that I wouldn't because I'm a horrific size king. Wow.
No.
Well,
I just know
fucking out you for anything, and you just threw me under the bus there.
No, I was just going by the fact that you're always ripping on me and Sandra for being like, you'd lick the drool off Dean's sleeping face.
No, we're not going back there. I'm thinking of all of the other tools and resources they have at their availability, and Dean has some beautiful hands. There's a lot of other things that can be utilized. He's got a beautiful mouth. There's all these different things that we can utilize and all. If by some chance that was the case, big ol' if, but we're somehow thinking no in the back of our mind.
So to wrap that up, often cited studies of self-reported erect length has many men believing that the average is 6 inches and above. So as we said, the patriarchy fucks men as well. The patriarchy fucks everybody. Nobody benefits from toxic masculinity. Yeah, but that covers the stuff you can put in places, how big you can put, like how big the place you can put stuff in, and how big the thing you can put in places is on average. Say that 10 times fast. Christ.
You couldn't even say it once, mate.
Couldn't even say it once, yeah. It's alrighty, moving on. So, AMAB, refractory periods, aka post-nut clarity.
This one's all you, babe.
Why is this one all me? I was taking a drink. I thought someone.
Because it's AMAB.
Oh, right, okay.
You do the dude things.
I do the dude things. I do the dude things with my lack of dude equipment. Very sad. Alrighty. So,
but it's aspiring. You're aspiring to dude things.
I'm educating for when the day comes that I do have dude things.
Exactly.
Yes. Alrighty. So, AMAB refractory period, aka post-nut clarity. So what is a refractory period, first and foremost? So in this particular section, we're going to be using a variation on the human sexual response cycle, which is a theory of 4 stages of sort of sex, if you will. These are not the official scientific names, but they come under arousal, fucking, orgasm, refractory. All right, again, not scientific names. And the reason that I'm not giving them scientific names is that the theory has been criticized in scientific communities, but it is a pretty, like, simplistic way of explaining the whole cycle and things like that. So we're going to just borrow from it a little bit. Obviously, arousal and sex, much, much more nuanced than just 4 fucking stages, right?
Yeah.
So arousal is obviously exactly what it sounds like. So for men, that would be the appearance of an erection. There are a whole other things that go along with arousal, but, you know, getting hard, arousal, fucking, when you're as hard as you're going to get, generally, you're doing whatever you're doing. You're jerking off, you're fucking something, whatever. Like, you're in the act. Orgasm, obviously everybody knows what that is. Refractory, the bit afterwards, right?
Mm.
Immediately after orgasm.
Immediately after orgasm. So it's generally accepted as the time between ejaculation and a new sexual arousal state. So that is a new or a renewed erection. Some men cannot maintain an erection after orgasm. That's completely normal. Some men can retain some semblance of an erection after orgasm. Some men stay hard. You know, again, all bodies do be different. All completely normal. So it's between ejaculation and the cycle repeating a new arousal state. So, yep, you get hard again or you get harder. You're ready for penetrative sex again. Just to clarify as well, a new sexual arousal state does not always mean that a man can achieve, or an AMAB person can achieve orgasm a second time, just that they have re-entered stage 1 of the cycle. So that's that's sort of like the generally accepted definition. An alternate definition of that is the time between orgasms regardless of the state of arousal, however you particularly choose to describe that. Again, pretty difficult to sort of source anything on this because, again, this is one of those how long is a piece of string questions. It varies wildly from person to person. And the scientists haven't been able to figure out why it happens. Obviously, there's hormone fluctuations that come in with orgasm and things like that, but they don't know why men cannot immediately sort of get hard and orgasm again. You know, maybe you're empty, maybe the nuts need time to refill. I don't know. Science doesn't know. But sort of a general basis is, on average, the time is shorter when the man is young, and it increases, you know, with age. So I think we've all read fics where Sam or Dean lament not being 18 or in their early 20s again, needing a little bit more time. Maybe your own sexual experiences, especially if you've been with a partner for a long time, you can remember being in your early 20s, going at it like rabbits, and now you're in your 30s and you kind of look at each other maybe once or twice a month going, yeah, all right. You know, that's not indicative of anybody's sexual relationships here.
No.
Certainly, no. But yeah,
we'll source that in the doc.
that is the generally accepted kind of thing, that it's shorter when the man is young. And it lengthens, you know, and even sometimes even young men, you know, like they've got one good shot a day in them, and then they need a nap or a night's sleep.
Nap, you know, and a juice box and
an espresso.
I mean, to be honest, after sex, I feel like a nap and a juice box.
I want a nap and a juice box. Gatorade and a protein bar, whatever it is you need.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think... Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say the often sort of accepted time frame can be as little as 15 minutes to, as we said, upwards of 24 hours. Sometimes it can be in a couple of days, depending on the person. Which, frankly, if you nut so good that you can't nut again for like 48 hours, golf clap to you, bro. Do we not all aspire to nut that good?
I mean,
fuck yeah.
You would really hope it was that good. If I mean, assuming that you want to be coming more than once that often. But yeah, if it took you that long between and you wanted to be coming more often and you could not, you would really hope that one time was fucking stellar.
Then it's quality over quantity in that situation.
You
I
would
think.
hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have to admit, I am so guilty in some of my fics for really stretching the realism of the refractory period with Sam and Dean, even though they're, late 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want them to just
live their best life,
smash their bits. Over and over again.
Yeah.
I just need them to be doing that. So,
and that's the point. It's fantasy, isn't it? Like, we're not saying that you have to put all of this stuff in your fics. We're not saying that your fics have to be like scientifically accurate. We're just saying,
exactly.
Hey, if you want some realism, this is where it do be at.
Yeah, and don't take all of your sex don't take any, ideally. Well, I mean, maybe look. Just remember that fan fiction is not the be all end all of sexual knowledge.
Yes, you should take.
We sometimes have information wrong, and sometimes we deliberately fudge the line of believability and suspend our disbelief because it's more enjoyable that way.
That's it. It's fantasy.
Yeah,
you should take as much real life information from fanfic as you would from porn. In that it is, most of the time, it is written to be arousing and not realistic. Yeah.
And do if you're trying to get information from fan fiction, which I will absolutely admit, when I was younger, a lot of my sexual knowledge came from fan fiction because I was reading it from such a young age and got basically no education in real life. So fan fiction is where I got it. I wasn't a porn watcher when I was young, still am not. But it's important to corroborate that information with proper sources, which is maybe why I'm a bit fussy about sources in this sort of thing. Get proper information from reliable sources.
But that does cover the AMAB refractory period.
Yes.
Because as we said, there's not a lot of fucking information. Sorry. Moving on though. AFAB refractory periods. There's
even less information on this one.
Yeah.
I sense
but somehow we're stretching this episode out.
we found some studies. So as with most things when it comes to the women's generalization broad, science is conflicted and it doesn't really seem to care to clarify the matter. So there is no hard and fast, like, all men, like the hashtag not all men, but all penis owning people have a refractory period after they ejaculate. That is a solid fact, okay? Some men, or AMAB people rather, are able to achieve like a dry orgasm, which is the sensation of an orgasm with no actual ejaculate. And they can do that multiple times, but the actual act of ejaculation, all penis owning people have a refractory period after that. That's just biology, right? The women's, the AFAB peeps, we don't know. Science doesn't know. Doesn't care to clarify. So, but there does not seem to be a physiological reaction in AFAB people like there is in AMAB people, e.g. like a loss or a softening of erection. In those assigned male at birth, the refractory period makes it impossible to become physically aroused. Again, as we talked about, you lose or softening of an erection that takes a minute to kind of, muster itself back up again. Females may lose interest, or AFAB people rather, may lose interest in sex. They are usually physically capable of engaging in sexual activity again. So it's more of a mental thing for women, I think. There can be like oversensitivity and things like that, but it's not the same as it is in an AMAB person. I
think it's just the horniness disappears.
Yeah, but briefly. It can come back real quick.
Briefly or for a while.
Or for a while, It's absolutely fine. And it's normal both ways. There just is no sort of solid answer on it. And this distressed Dee to the absolute utmost. The most recent study we could find on this was in 2009. And she was so distressed. Yes.
Yeah,
So,
a lot
but
of a lot of these studies, like they're back in 2015, and but it's just again, it's why aren't these studies being done? Like sexuality is
because women don't need
such
to
a huge
orgasm
part
to make a
of
baby,
like.
so nobody cares.
I mean, even the stuff on AMAB people, like, I don't know how there aren't constant huge studies, just huge studies, like all across the world, all
Yeah.
across age groups.
For all
just,
the interest they seem to think everybody's got about sex, you'd think they do more
Right.
studies about it. Yeah.
You would think,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's even Anyway, so we really did try hard, everyone. We did
Science
what we
isn't
could.
there. We tried our best.
No.
It's just
Yeah.
not there, guys. But this 2009 study, which was the most recent that we could find, suggests that women may experience a physiological refractory period. Out of 174 females, 96 reported that the clitoris became too sensitive to continue sexual activity. So while it is physically possible, sex became less appealing and possibly painful. So yeah, it's not the same physiological reaction as AMAB people in a loss of erection, but there is, sort of an oversensitivity issue. A lot of women report. As with AMAB people, the refractory period for AFAB people is varied. Some people only need minutes to get back in the game. Some people are one and done. Again, broad spectrum, even broad spectrum, all totally normal. There are no hard and fast rules with this. Basically, we could have just called this fact versus fiction, general realism. How long's a piece of string? That's it. That could have been the answer for any one of these looking questions. That's it. Do AFAB people have refractory periods? Maybe. Question mark.
Of a sort.
We don't know, really. Yes, but also kind of no. A little
Should be
bit.
called something else.
Maybe. Yeah, should we call it something else? Yeah, that's kind of where it is. But that leads us on to a second, sort of like a second question, but in this same kind of vein. And this point was provided to us by PJ, aka Darrelly Starscream, in our Discord server. Again, multiple orgasms. Define that for me. Obviously, the first question that one has to ask there is, what is a multiple orgasm? Also known as a super orgasm, according to the UK's Channel 14.
That is different. Multiple orgasm and super orgasm, because multiple orgasm can just be two, right? Super orgasm is many, many, many.
Okay, apparently they're different. At no point during writing this document did they correct me on that. So
I didn't see that.
Who looks a dick now? It's me. Multiple orgasms could just be two. Super orgasms 4 and upwards. I don't know. I didn't watch the documentary, but apparently the Channel 4, which is a UK broadcast channel, made a documentary about this back in like 2017, whatever.
About the super orgasm, yeah.
About the super.
But they only had like a handful of people, so it was not like it wasn't even like any of our other shitty studies. It was even fewer people. So it's basically just anecdotal.
Yeah, but
it's about the possibility of there being a possibility.
Yeah, but you see the thing about that is, right, sex sells. Channel 4 knows this. They make a lot of documentaries like that.
Yeah.
So in answering the question, what is a multiple orgasm? It is an occurrence of more than one orgasm without a resolution phase separating the orgasms. And the American Psychiatric Association, they provided a very helpful dictionary definition for y'all. And that's what they say that it means.
Yeah. And the resolution phase came from the human sexual response cycle, which was mentioned in the AMAB refractory period, which we have a link to. And that was, I think, Kasey changed that to refractory under the 4 stages, which is referred to here in the quote from the American Psychological Association as resolution phase. Yeah.
So it's
same thing, just a different word.
But it's basically, just orgasm, like, a little bit of a break, but you don't have you don't fully restart the arousal cycle. A question to that, because I found this in a different study somewhere. It's mentioned in here. Multiple orgasms versus stacking orgasms. So a multiple orgasm happens when a person orgasms, comes down from the orgasm, and returns to a less stimulated state before having another orgasm. Essentially, it means they have multiple separate orgasms a few minutes apart.
Or less.
Or less. Could be seconds, could be minutes. But there is kind of like me and Dee were back and forth on this. We'll get to it in a second. A stacked orgasm aims to prevent a person from fully climaxing so that they experience a wave of orgasms and remain in an orgasmic state much longer, which to me sounds like edging with extra steps. That just sounds like edging with extra steps to me. That sounds like my idea of fucking hell. It just sounds like
edging to me.
Hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolute. We also went back and forth on maybe it's tantric something or other. But the end result is we don't know. We're into instant gratification here. We didn't look into stacking orgasms. We don't care. That just sounds like
orgasm now. I'll have another one in a little while.
Yeah. Now, please. I'm an impatient baby. Now, please. So me and Dee actually went back and forth when we were figuring this one out on what is the time frame of a multiple orgasm? Because apparently we had different opinions.
Yeah, we wanted to come up with our own definition since no one fucking else could. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So your friendly neighborhood agents consider a multiple orgasm to be 2 or more orgasms within the space of a few minutes. And that is cumulative. So it doesn't have to be within the space of a few minutes from the first one, just within the space of a few minutes from the last one. You don't have to come like 10 times in like 60 seconds. You'll pull something. You'll hurt yourself. Don't do that.
Yes. Yeah, from the last one. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. But opinions on this vary in real science because there basically is none, and undoubtedly between friends because we needed a minute to, sort of solidify that. So the way we came down on it is if you have a female character or an assigned female character at birth person, like in your fic, and they have an orgasm, and then you move on to other sex stuff, and then like half an hour later they have another orgasm, that's just 2 orgasms in a session. That does not constitute a multiple orgasm. It has to be within a short space of time, a few minutes is kind of
a multiple
kind of
orgasm
where we're at.
Here is something quite specific, which is almost like a rolling orgasm, but with, small breaks in between, very small, short breaks between. So yeah, at least that's how we've decided to define it for ourselves. I mean, other people can define it however they want because, like we said, if we were writing a dictionary of sex terms, that's how we'd put it, but we don't write the dictionary of sex terms, unfortunately.
It'd be a lot fucking clearer if we did it, I'll say that.
Yeah. So it's really, it's up to everyone else. It's just what you want to, how you want to phrase it, how you want to write it. It's, yeah. I mean, it hadn't even occurred to me. Like, I think we were talking about while we were writing this part of the doc, the tag. No, I think I was just thinking about it. The tag multiple orgasms in on AO3, and it occurred to me, like, do people use that tag just because more than one orgasm takes place within a fic? Because I've only ever used that or assumed it was used for multiple orgasms as we're talking about them here, which is, quick successive orgasms. But yeah, so it's funny how you assume that a term or a word means something really specific, but then actually it turns out other people have interpreted it in a way that is quite different.
It's one of those, like, how do you know that the red is it? The color that I call red is not the color that you call blue. Like, we'll never know. It is, as with so many things with sex, it is very subjective. But that does bring us to the end of the document.
Yeah, we did it.
Of the lecture. Well done, us. We hope you're all taking notes. There will be a quiz. No, there won't.
We have the doc. You can source it from ours. It's fine.
Yeah. We've got the cheat sheet. You'll be fine, guys. Don't worry about it. But I do just want to specify again that this document is just as kind of like a reference. If you wanted to be a little bit more realistic, if you wanted to, write something that was maybe centered a bit more on what science has to say about sex. But we are not saying that you must use this information in your fics, and if you don't use this, then it's, it's bullshit and it's lies and it's wrong. It's fic writing, it's fantasy. Have fun with it. But
absolutely,
if you are maybe a newer writer, and it's still pretty taboo to talk about sex and things like that, so you've got your own sexual experience to draw off. But if that you you're still feeling like a little unsure and you don't know, this is a great place to just grab some of the more averagey stuff, general stuff, to kind of build your knowledge upon.
Or
while you're
if
starting to
you
write.
don't actually have a whole lot of experience in real life, which
Yeah.
is totally normal and fine, no matter what your age or background or anything.
Yeah.
You can. We're not saying we're as experts, but we've tried to find reliable scientific sources. We do know that we've got good information in here. You can start with realism and then sort of just go towards fantasy, knowing that you at least understand the reality and can base things on that. But again, it's just all about what you want to read, what you want to write. That's what fan fiction is. It's
And
really about self-gratification, ironically.
And some people do prefer Jared's process of knowing the information, being really solid in a foundation, and then you feel more comfortable to experiment and improvise and move past that because you know that you've got this solid foundation. And if that's a process that you use when it comes to writing and researching stuff like that, we got you covered, fam.
Yeah, and I think, and something that it's a real pet peeve of mine is, and I've seen it. It's something that I've seen over long years in fandom, in multiple fandoms, is like trends of misinformation or incorrectness in something sexual, or like I don't really know how to phrase it, like just something wrong about the sex that gets picked up by other writers and perpetuated as if it's fact.
We will cover this in a different episode, I'm sure, but what immediately springs to mind is dicks do not be snorkels.
No.
If you have all 11 inches of someone's dick in your neck, you are not breathing around that even through your nose.
Yeah,
That's
so
massively
it's stuff
prevalent.
like that, right? And that comes, you can only assume, I mean, otherwise you would know, that comes from a lack of real life experience. And again, that's fine, but this is why Kasey and Sandra in particular started Fact versus Fiction, and why I'm super gung-ho about it as well, is to get the actual truth and fact out there so that at least people have the fact as a basis for their knowledge that they can then riff on. It's the best way to build the foundation for our kinky, smutty, loving stories.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
I think giving people permission to like look into stuff and be okay with, because I know we've had, I think just from some of our episodes or chatting about writing, I think we've given some people permission to feel that, it's okay to write this stuff that maybe haven't done it before. And just that, you don't necessarily need like you were saying, the actual experience, but you can try to make something that you feel is fun, interesting. If you want to make it realistic, you can make it realistic. Yeah. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Do it however you want, but just feel that it's okay to try and do the thing, and that there's resources. And, people aren't necessarily going to, Kasey might cringe a little bit if you're using water when you shouldn't be. Just know that that's going to be a thing.
Hurt yourself.
But I think knowing that there's, and I might see if I can make this, might put this in the intro where, Sam is berating Dean, you're confusing reality with porn again. Like, that kind of a thing, that sometimes there's, it's okay, but just know that, if you're with the fan fiction itself, and we've talked about this also, when people first get an introduction as, younger, and sometimes a lot of their introduction to sex is through fanfic, that, they will read something, but then if there isn't any other information to go off of, they might always think this is the way, or with porn, this is the way it has to go. It doesn't. there's a reality to it that is skewed by fan fiction, that is skewed by porn
sure.
in a lot of situations. So this gives people feel it's okay to look this stuff up, to do your own research, to you're not weird because these things don't apply to you in every situation. Like we're all different, and we all need different things in that, and it's okay, like it's okay.
And it's okay to write realistically as well. It's okay to write the messiness of it and the difference of it. It doesn't, all of our smut and fan fiction doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be neat and tidy. It doesn't have to be, everyone experiencing the same things. Like, take a step outside the box. Like, people actually love that. I know that so many of the people I interact with in the Wincest fandom, and Sandra and Kasey, who are and have been more intensely in the reader insert part of fandom, love those fics that step outside the box and explore something different in sexuality and intimacy. Like, people eat it up. So don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah. I write very, very sanitized, very sort of, even if the acts themselves are not truly fantasy, I write very very sanitized. I don't deal with the mess and the realities of sex, but I love reading about it. I will fucking, to my dying day, I will claim Factory Reset as one of my favorite fics of all time, because the realism is on fucking point. It's so good. Like, just nah. And also, I never know who I'm more attracted to when I read that fic, which is, that's always a good way to bring me into your fic. Make me confused. I enjoy it. It's my natural state of being. I'm comfortable there.
I think it's the intimacy part of it too that Dreamer hit on. Like, I think as writers, I think just in general, and that doesn't necessarily, like, one shots of other things that people like to write, if it's just like, getting down and dirty, or just, the actual, like, just act of it. But I think the intimacy part is explored a lot more in fanfic and fiction just in general than if you talk about porn. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people really love reading about in those situations. Not again, maybe majority, but not like everybody, again, because we don't want to say that it's across the board. But I think the intimacy part of it, there is. I will raise my sword for porn and intimacy being an excellent pair. I mean, I read mostly porn, but the amount of intimacy that a good writer can get into, even a PWP, absolutely.
And it's
Not
to say you were shitting on PWP, Sandra. I know you weren't. But I do love the combination.
Those are like little magic pieces when you can find them, that I think we have a lot of writers that do that really well, that can balance both in a fic too. So I think that's it's nice when you can have the best of everything. And I think that fic writing, I think, gives people that opportunity to do all of that, so
for sure.
So hopefully you feel nice and educated, and this document will of course be available along with all of our other FEF documents.
I think we're going to get a lot of reactions in our server. I'm looking forward to that.
I hope so. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Any closing thoughts past those ones, guys?
No, my brain is pleasantly empty.
Well, gone the full circle.
Exactly.
Gone to the sated situation, and now
we're in the resolution phase.
Yeah, we're in the
That's
resolution.
right.
Yes.
We're in the resolution phase. Well, no, that's not technically true. You're in the resolution phase of the cycle. I don't know what phase of the cycle me and Sandra are in, because we still got shit to do.
Yeah, no, you're in the resolution cycle, but you're gearing up for multiple orgasm
for this session.
Yeah,
we're in
the resolution cycle for this session. We're going to take a break. We're going to have a Gatorade and some protein bars, maybe an espresso,
maybe a juice.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah,
maybe a juice box. I'm going to send you.
So I just want to say that I'm really, really grateful that Kasey has such a great partner in the fact versus fiction, because I know most of the times in the beginning, it was Kasey just spouting some shit off, and I was just sitting there going, So I think that this is a great combination. I love this dreamer sandwich situation that we have going on with fact versus fiction.
Do you feel like you learned something today, Sandra?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially about the refractory stuff too, and just, again, like when we talk about the different biases and all those things, like what people perceive as this is how it's supposed to go is not the situation. And I wouldn't necessarily, be doing all of this research. So I'm grateful that we have someone in Kasey that loves the research, and then in you, Dreamer, that loves the sources and the citing and all of those other wonderful things. So I think that's great. So
Excellent.
I think our listeners are very appreciative of that as well. So I know we want to thank them for listening, but we want to know their thoughts. Dreamer, how can they get in touch with us?
Well, they can get in touch with us by emailing us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. They can also comment on Spotify in the Q&A section or leave a YouTube comment. They can join us in Discord, which is awesome, and we have a lot of fun in there, and chat with fellow idlers and your lovely, lovely hosts of this episode in real time. You can also check out the merch store, which is another excellent way to show your support. And you can find details for everything on the website at idlingintheimpala.com.
Want to fuel our supernatural road trip? Consider joining us on Ko-fi for as little as $1 a month. We have perks to go along with different membership tiers and would love to have you along for the ride.
Speaking of perks, we've got special shout-outs for some of our Ko-fi members. From our Shotgun Picks and Music tier, we've got Runaway Dreamer, Crowley's Mistress, Sam and Dean 76, and Elia. From our own Mrs. Butters tier, we've got Charlie. Thanks for picking the tunes in the car and keeping the lights on in the bunker. Support like yours keeps our podcast going. Thanks. Don't forget, you can always support us for free by liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube, and following, rating, and sharing on audio platforms. Engagement like that really helps us with the algorithms. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes we support in the description. So from me, you have LGBTQ plus talking charities. From Sandra, you have mental health charities. And of course, the main causes that we are always highlighting, championing, spotlighting are World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. If you want to know more about these causes, why we're supporting them, what they mean to us, check out idlingintheimpala.com. There's a page there called Causes Cause with all the details. So with that, we will say thank you for joining us in the backseat, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.